They earn more in a year than most people will see in a lifetime. They sign contracts bigger than tech CEOs, stand among global icons, and have bank accounts that could buy islands. Yet behind the fame and fortune, something shocking happens. These NBA superstars clip coupons, drive cars older than their careers, and live like the guy next door. They could drown in diamonds, but choose dollar stores. They could flaunt private jets, but pick budget flights. Why? What are the world's most powerful athletes really protecting? Their wealth, or something far deeper? Today we uncover the hidden truth behind basketball's richest millionaires who secretly live like regular men. Before we jump in, hit subscribe to support Gazeon. You won't believe what's coming. 1. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis Antetokounmpo isn't just one of the most dominant forces basketball has ever witnessed. He is a living contradiction to what superstardom usually looks like. With back-to-back MVPs, a championship, and a reputation as the most unstoppable downhill player in modern basketball, Giannis earns over $90 million a year between salary and endorsements. His Supermax deals with the Milwaukee Bucks guarantee him more than $300 million in career earnings, easily placing him among the world's highest-paid athletes. And yet, beneath the global fame, the luxury sponsors, and the towering image plastered across billboards from Athens to New York, Giannis still moves through life like a man who remembers every single day of hunger, struggle, and sacrifice. Money, to him, is not a symbol of status, it is a shield, a form of protection for the people he loves. One of the most unforgettable examples of this happened in New York, when fans spotted the two-time MVP casually shopping inside a discount store, comparing prices like any hard-working parent trying to stretch a budget. No private concierge, no designer boutiques, just Giannis joking about the cost of baby supplies while scanning the shelves like a regular guy. Teammates say this is who he truly is. The same outfits for years. Simple sneakers, no obsession with jewelry, cars, or red carpet glamour. Despite being the face of international basketball, Giannis refuses to let wealth, attention, or praise distort his values. That humility is rooted in a childhood shaped by survival. Born to Nigerian immigrant parents living undocumented in Greece, Giannis grew up selling sunglasses, watches, and trinkets on the streets of Athens. He and his brothers walked miles each day just to help their family afford food. Some nights they had to choose between eating or catching a bus home. Even after making it to the NBA, his generosity nearly put him in trouble. Giannis once sent so much of his rookie paycheck back to Greece that he didn't have enough money for a taxi and ended up running to the arena in the freezing cold. That moment wasn't an accident, it was instinct. Family first, no matter what. Ask Giannis what money means, and he'll tell you it's not happiness, it's opportunity, especially for those who sacrificed everything for him. He has bought homes for his parents and brothers, helped them move to the United States, and made sure they are always close during the season. He rarely spends on himself, but when it comes to his loved ones, the word limit doesn't exist. And despite huge brand partnerships with Nike, JBL, and dozens more, Giannis chooses the quiet life. No nightclub hopping, no Hollywood parties, no entourage. His perfect night is at home with his longtime partner, Mariah Riddlespringer, and their children, cooking dinner, watching Netflix, or playing games on the living room floor. In a league that dazzles with diamonds, private jets, and supercars, Giannis stands apart. He plays like royalty, but lives like a man who refuses to forget the streets that shaped him. And the next person on this list will shock you even more. Carmelo Anthony's name rings out like a landmark in basketball history, from the electric nights in Denver, to the bright spotlight of New York, to the veteran chapters in Portland and Los Angeles. Over the course of 2 decades, he accumulated more than $262 million in NBA salary alone, not counting the millions brought in through endorsements, investments, and entrepreneurial ventures. he became one of the most gifted scorers of his generation, a 10-time All-Star, an Olympic legend, and a global cultural figure whose influence stretches far beyond the court. But behind the fame, the wealth, and the worldwide recognition is a man who never forgot what it felt like to stretch every dollar. For all the luxury he could easily afford, Carmelo Anthony still chooses to live beneath his means, a decision that surprises many but speaks volumes about who he truly is. One of his most charming and unexpected habits is his love for smart spending. While many stars his size splurge without hesitation, Carmelo still uses coupons, hunts for discounts, and avoids unnecessary purchases. To some, that might seem unusual for a multimillionaire. To him, it's simply staying grounded. He's said repeatedly that discipline doesn't disappear when money enters the picture, it becomes even more important. He isn't embarrassed to admit that he knows prices by heart, that he appreciates a good deal, and that he refuses to play the role of a rich celebrity just to satisfy public expectations. Melo's frugality isn't a limitation, it's a legacy of where he came from. That legacy began in West Baltimore, a place where struggle shaped character and caution shaped survival. After his mother moved the family from Brooklyn, Carmelo grew up in a neighborhood marked by hardship, violence, and limited opportunities. His father passed away when he was just 2 years old, leaving his mother Mary to raise him and his siblings alone. Money was precious, unpredictable, and often insufficient. Those early experiences didn't just influence Carmelo, they built him. He learned that wealth can vanish as quickly as it arrives, and that the only security worth trusting is the one you create through discipline, hard work, and smart planning. Even at the height of his NBA fame, while he was gracing magazine covers and earning superstar contracts, Melo resisted the trap of impulsive spending. Instead, he invested carefully in tech companies, media production, and even the wine industry. His ventures like Carmelo's 7 Tech Partners, the Seventh Estate Wine Label, and Creative 7 Media are not vanity projects. They are long-term assets designed to outlive the final whistle of his basketball career. What matters most to him now isn't luxury, it's legacy. Carmelo has always believed that true success is measured by what you give, not what you own. Through the Carmelo Anthony Foundation, established in 2005, he has funded educational programs, hunger relief efforts, and community development projects across Baltimore, New York, and Syracuse. Thousands of families have felt his impact. Today, even in retirement, Carmelo Anthony remains a picture of humility. No scandals, no extravagant headlines, no reckless displays of wealth, just a man who understands that fame fades, but wisdom, discipline, and heart endure. His story is more than basketball, it's a masterclass in staying grounded when fortune tries to lift you off the earth. 3. Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday is one of the NBA's most admired champions, a multiple-time All-Star, an elite defender, and a quiet force whose influence stretches far beyond the hardwood. Over a career that's taken him from Philadelphia to New Orleans, to Milwaukee, and now Boston, he has earned more than $250 million. By every measure, he has the wealth to live like royalty. Yet Holiday chooses something far more meaningful, a life rooted in generosity, humility, and purpose. While many players express success through cars, mansions, and luxury brands, Jrue defines his worth in impact. What makes him extraordinary isn't just what he gives, it's the scale of his selflessness. In 2020, when the world faced uncertainty and the NBA bubble forced players into isolation, Holiday and his wife Lauren, a retired U.S. soccer legend, made a decision that stunned the sports world. They pledged his entire season's salary, more than $5 million, to launch programs supporting Black-owned businesses, underfunded schools, and community organizations fighting systemic inequities. It wasn't a publicity stunt. It wasn't to impress fans. It was a reflection of their deepest principles, principles shaped by hardship, faith, and unwavering family values. Holiday was raised in California by parents Toya and Sean, both former athletes who instilled discipline, compassion, and humility in their children. They taught Junior that character is worth more than trophies, and that success means little if it isn't used to lift others. Those lessons became even more profound in 2016 when Lauren was diagnosed with a brain tumor shortly after giving birth to their first daughter. Junior didn't hesitate. He stepped away from basketball, sacrificing part of his career to care for his wife and newborn child. Moments like that reveal the core of who he is. A man who believes that family is forever, wealth is temporary, and purpose is everything. Even with millions in the bank, Holiday lives with striking modesty. He avoids unnecessary spending, keeps his lifestyle grounded, and treats money not as a symbol of status, but as a tool to create change. Through the Drew and Lauren Holiday Social Impact Fund, he has invested millions into community leaders, entrepreneurs, educators, and grassroots organizations across the country. From food security initiatives to youth development programs to mental health advocacy, his giving is wide-reaching and deeply intentional. Ask his teammates about him, and they'll describe someone calm, steady, and refreshingly real. A player who would rather cook dinner for his children than attend celebrity parties. Holiday doesn't chase attention, luxury, or noise. He chooses home, family, and authenticity. When rookies ask how to navigate sudden wealth, Junior doesn't talk about cars or investments first. He talks about values. Spend wisely. Give purposefully. Stay grounded. Remember where you came from. His championship ring may shine brightly, but his legacy shines even brighter, a reminder that prosperity becomes powerful only when shared with a selfless heart. And the next person on this list is someone with exceptional discipline in spending. 4. Trey Burke. Trey Burke may not have the global spotlight, the massive signature shoe lines, or the superstar aura that surrounds many NBA icons, but his financial discipline places him among the most intriguing figures in the league. Across more than a decade with the Utah Jazz, New York Knicks, Dallas Mavericks, and Philadelphia 76ers, Burke earned over $25 million, a life-changing amount by any measure. Yet what sets him apart isn't the number of zeros on his checks, but the mindset behind every dollar he chooses to keep, save, or invest. From the moment he entered the league, Burke refused to let fame rewrite his values. While many rookies dive headfirst into luxury cars, designer fashion, high-end nightlife, and impulsive spending, Burke took a completely different path. Even in his first year, when he earned more than $2.4 million, he imposed a strict personal rule, a $5,000 spending limit per month. It was an astonishing decision for a 21-year-old suddenly surrounded by wealth, temptation, and the constant pressure to look the part. That choice instantly separated him from the stereotype of the young player who lets fortune redefine identity. Trey understood something most players learn too late. Money has a quiet way of disappearing when you don't respect it. Instead of chasing validation, he focused on sustainability. With guidance from financial advisors, he funneled nearly all of his rookie earnings into savings and long-term investments. In his world, the future mattered more than the moment. His discipline didn't appear out of thin air. Burke grew up in Columbus, Ohio, raised by parents who instilled values of humility, accountability, and smart decision-making. His father coached his travel basketball teams, teaching him not only the fundamentals of the game, but the importance of working for every opportunity. Nothing was guaranteed, a lesson that stayed with Trey long after he signed his first NBA contract. As his career evolved, taking him from starting roles to bench positions, from the NBA to the G League, and even overseas, Burke's financial philosophy never changed. No matter the city, no matter the paycheck, he lived modestly, prioritized stability, and protected his family's well-being. He married his high school sweetheart, maintained a close and loyal inner circle, and avoided the pitfalls of entourages, lifestyle inflation, and flashy living. With time, Burke expanded his financial approach. He invested carefully, often through family-managed ventures, choosing people he trusted over strangers promising miracles. Whether his name was trending or forgotten in the rotation, his focus remained the same: turn temporary basketball earnings into long-lasting security. In an industry where careers can end without warning, and where image often pressures players into reckless spending, Trey Burke stands out as the model of maturity. He may not appear on lists of the highest-paid superstars, but his story deserves a place at the center of any conversation about financial intelligence in sports. Burke is living proof that true wealth isn't measured by how loudly you spend, but by how wisely you plan. His journey reminds young athletes everywhere that greatness is not found only in stats, but in the future you build with the money you earn. Among all NBA superstars who could easily drown themselves in luxury, Kawhi Leonard stands alone as the league's most quietly grounded anomaly. With more than $300 million earned through contracts and 2 Finals MVP trophies under his belt, he has every reason and every dollar to embrace a billionaire-level lifestyle. Yet Kawhi lives with a simplicity so rare, it feels almost unbelievable in today's era of celebrity excess. He avoids the spotlight with the same intensity he uses to guard opposing scorers. Public appearances, minimal. Social media, practically non-existent. In person, he blends into everyday crowds so effortlessly that people often describe him as a regular dude who just happens to be 6'7". To Kawhi, anonymity is luxury. His spending habits reveal an uncompromising commitment to practicality. Nothing illustrates this better than his iconic 1997 Chevrolet Tahoe, a car he bought as a teenager and still drives today. While other NBA stars rotate through exotic supercars like their sneakers, Kawhi chooses a vehicle old enough to belong in a classic car show. When asked why he never upgraded, his answer became legendary: "It runs and it's paid off." In 8 words, he summed up his entire philosophy. But Kawhi's humility didn't appear out of nowhere. Growing up in Compton, he learned that life is fragile and family is everything. When he was just 16, his father was tragically killed while working late at his car wash, a loss that reshaped Kawhi's world and cemented his view that material possessions mean little compared to stability, safety, and loyalty. Would you still choose a simple life if you had hundreds of millions at your fingertips? One of his most endearing frugal habits is tied to an unlikely place: Wingstop. Most athletes treat brand endorsements like status symbols. Kawhi treats them like coupons, literally. He happily uses the free wing vouchers the company sends him, and when he once misplaced his coupon book, he contacted Wingstop to ask for replacements. Fans adored him for it. To Kawhi, it wasn't about saving money, it was about never assuming he deserved special treatment. Off the court, Leonard guards his privacy with more intensity than he guards the perimeter. No flashy parties, no attention-seeking fashion, no unnecessary noise. Teammates say he's hilarious behind the scenes, but Kawhi never tries to turn his personality into a performance for the public. Peace is his true currency. In a league filled with mansions, diamonds, supercars, and curated online personas, Kawhi Leonard proves that greatness never needs glitter. His life is a calm, steady reminder that success means nothing if it costs you your peace. And that's why Kawhi remains the ultimate example of a wildly wealthy NBA player who genuinely lives like an average Joe, proof that humility will always be the most powerful flex of all. And the next person on this list is someone with remarkable business talent. He even owns a coffee shop. So, have you guessed who it is yet? 6. Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's journey to wealth and fame reads like a Hollywood script, a story of grit, survival, and improbable triumph. But despite building a fortune through NBA contracts, endorsements, and business ventures, totaling well over hundreds of millions, Butler lives with a simplicity that feels almost rebellious in the age of celebrity extravagance. He doesn't flaunt sports cars or designer closets. Instead, he chooses function, comfort, and authenticity. His favorite vehicle? A a regular Toyota minivan. Yes, the same kind seen in school pickup lines across America. While other superstars glide into arenas in six-figure luxury cars, Butler proudly rolls up in a minivan because, as he puts it, "I only need what works. It's not an act. It's a lifestyle." Butler has no interest in spending money just to impress strangers. His frugality becomes even more legendary when coffee enters the picture. In the 2020 NBA bubble, while players complained about boredom and isolation, Butler saw opportunity. Using a basic hotel setup, he started charging teammates $20 per cup, no discounts, no exceptions. That moment of humor and hustle became the origin of Big Face Coffee, his now fully established Miami-based cafe. What started as a bubble joke grew into a real business, proving that Jimmy Butler's mind is always 2 steps ahead, clever, relentless, and unbothered by what people think. Butler's practical nature isn't just about saving a few dollars. It comes from survival. At just 13 years old, he was kicked out of his home in Tomball, Texas, drifting between couches, relying on friends, and scraping by however he could. The Lambert family eventually welcomed him in, giving him the structure he needed to chase both basketball and stability. That second chance shaped the philosophy he carries today: protect your peace, protect your future, and never forget where you came from. Even after becoming a 6-time All-Star and one of the most competitive players in the league, Butler still makes down-to-earth financial choices. There's a viral clip of him at a gas station joking about whether he could return the gas because prices were too high. It wasn't a performance, it was Jimmy being Jimmy. Fans adore him because he treats money seriously, remembering a time when every dollar mattered. Butler also prioritizes focus over comfort. At one point, he turned off his TV and internet entirely to eliminate distractions and lock in on training. Fame didn't change his commitment to discipline. It intensified it. His investments tell the same story. Instead of chasing flashy, one-off business opportunities, Butler puts his money only into things he believes in: paddle tennis ventures, real estate, entrepreneurial projects, and of course, Big Face Coffee. He invests slowly, carefully, and intentionally. No ego, no rush, just strategy. For Butler, wealth is a tool, a way to provide for his daughter, uplift the people who stood by him, and build a future that doesn't depend on basketball. His life is proof that the American dream doesn't require you to abandon your identity. You can rise from homelessness, become a global star, build real businesses, and still keep the perspective of someone who fought for everything. Jimmy Butler is the embodiment of hustle without ego, success without the show. 7. Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant stands as one of the purest scorers the NBA has ever seen, a generational talent whose name is etched into basketball history. With more than $450 million earned from NBA contracts and a business empire spanning tech startups, esports organizations, sports franchises, and media companies, Durant has built a net worth that rivals billionaire status. On paper, he has every reason to live like a Hollywood king. But the real Kevin Durant is nothing like the stereotypical superstar. Behind the trophies, headlines, and global fame is a man who values peace more than paparazzi, authenticity more than attention, and comfort more than clout. KD isn't searching for the loudest room, he's searching for the truest version of himself. One of the most fascinating things about Durant is how naturally he rejects the celebrity lifestyle. While many athletes unwind with luxury vacations, high-profile parties, and endless red carpets, KD spends his downtime gaming, talking basketball on live streams, or relaxing with a close-knit group of friends. No entourage, no theatrics, just a man enjoying simple moments that keep him grounded. To many fans, Durant is the fierce competitor they see on the court, but off-camera, he is surprisingly introverted, thoughtful, and mellow, the kind of person who recharges by staying home, playing video games until 3 a.m., or diving into the creative projects he truly cares about. His humility is deeply rooted in his upbringing. Raised in Prince George's County, Maryland, by his mother, Wanda Pratt, the woman he famously called the real MVP, Durant grew up in modest environments where every step forward required sacrifice. There were no lavish gyms or elite training facilities, just determination, borrowed resources, and a dream big enough to lift his family into a better life. Success didn't change him. It amplified the values that shaped him. When it comes to spending, KD is intentional. Sure, he loves premium sneakers and quality essentials, but his lifestyle avoids the gravitational pull of celebrity excess. He doesn't collect luxury cars or flashy jewelry. Instead, he spends where it matters: equity, long-term investments, and opportunities that elevate communities and young athletes. Through his ventures, Durant supports youth sports, athlete-led companies, and innovative startups. He's far more excited about building generational impact than showing off temporary purchases. And unlike many wealthy celebrities, he doesn't publicize his frugality or humble habits. He simply lives them. Durant protects his privacy fiercely. He keeps his relationships away from the spotlight, avoids unnecessary media chaos, and embraces a minimalist lifestyle that allows him to focus fully on training, mental clarity, and personal growth. For someone with global reach, he remains shockingly ordinary when the cameras shut off. No fleet of supercars, no desperate chase for attention. Kevin Durant shines as proof that true greatness doesn't always roar. Sometimes, the most powerful legacies are built quietly, through peace, purpose, and authenticity. And next will be the best player in the NBA. 8. Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic is one of the most extraordinary forces the NBA has ever seen, a multiple-time MVP, an NBA champion, and one of the highest-paid athletes in the world. His Supermax contract alone secures more than $270 million, with a single-season option surpassing $62 million. On paper, he is a megastar of the highest order. But if you observed him off the court, none of that would be obvious. There are no bodyguards trailing him, no exotic cars gleaming in a private mansion driveway, no designer looks, curated photo shoots, or celebrity parties. Instead, you'd see a man who carries himself like a gentle giant from next door, someone more concerned with grocery lists and quiet mornings than the glamour that often swallows athletes of his caliber. Jokic's lifestyle remains shockingly ordinary for a player who has changed NBA history. While many stars spend their summers in luxury resorts or fashion capitals, Jokic heads straight home to Sombor, Serbia, not for parades or royal treatment, but to slip back into the slow rhythm of everyday life. In Sombor, he wakes early, greets neighbors like old friends, and enjoys local cafes where everyone calls him Nixa instead of treating him like a global icon. His definition of luxury is different from most. It isn't high-rise penthouses, private jets, or exclusive events. It is the rare freedom to be anonymous, to blend into his hometown surrounded by people who knew him long before cameras followed his every move. One of the most endearing pieces of Jokic's personality is his love for horse racing. He doesn't just fund stables, he works in them. He trains, feeds, and cares for his horses with the devotion of someone who finds peace in the simplicity of routine. The pure joy on his face during a harness racing victory often eclipses his reaction to winning an NBA game. It's a gentle reminder that basketball is his job, not his entire identity. Jokic was raised in a small two-bedroom apartment shared with his parents and two older brothers, Stranja and Nemanja. Space was tight, but family was everything. That upbringing embedded in him a simple truth: happiness comes from togetherness, not wealth. Even today, both brothers live with him in Denver during the season, an unusual arrangement for a global superstar, but a perfect reflection of Jokic's values. Their evenings aren't spent at elite clubs or red carpet events. They cook together, play cards, argue, laugh loudly, and tell stories, the same traditions they grew up with. Fame does not exist inside those walls. Jokic's relationship with celebrity culture is almost non-existent. He rarely posts online, avoids fashion spotlights, and has no interest in building a polished public persona. Awards and records barely alter his calm expression. When asked what excited him most about winning a championship, he simply said he wanted to go home, a moment that became a global meme and the clearest window into his soul. Nikola Jokic stands as the purest example. To him, basketball is a career, not a crown. Wealth is a resource, not an identity. And home will always be a quiet Serbian town where horses, not highlight reels, bring the loudest joy. In a world obsessed with fame, Jokic proves that true greatness rests in purpose, simplicity, and peace. Nade David West. David West shocked the basketball world with one of the most selfless financial decisions ever made by an NBA star. Still an elite contributor with the Indiana Pacers, he had a guaranteed $12.6 million waiting for him, money most players would never dream of walking away from. Yet West turned it down without hesitation, choosing a veteran minimum deal with the San Antonio Spurs and sacrificing more than $11 million in a single stroke. His message was unmistakable: purpose, winning, and personal fulfillment meant far more than a padded bank account. And he didn't stop there. The following season, West doubled down again, taking another minimum contract with the Golden State Warriors. That leap of faith was rewarded with 2 championships, proving beyond doubt that chasing meaning sometimes requires sacrificing comfort. But this mindset didn't emerge in the spotlight. It was shaped long before fame. Born in Teaneck, New Jersey, and raised in a hard-working blue-collar family, West learned early that integrity lasts longer than status. At Xavier University, he excelled not only as one of college basketball's most dominant players, but also as a top academic performer. His communication studies sharpened his understanding of society, social responsibility, and the obligation of those with influence to uplift others. Those lessons became the core of his life's work. Away from the court, West has grown into a fierce advocate for justice, equality, and community progress. He invests in purpose-driven companies like Zoetic Global, which develops sustainable energy solutions in Africa. He supports educational programs, youth sports initiatives, and organizations fighting poverty, often quietly, without ever seeking credit. Many of his contributions remain unknown until the people he helped choose to share the stories themselves. Even during his NBA career, West was unafraid to speak out on corruption, inequality, and the systems that harm marginalized communities. While some athletes avoid difficult conversations to protect endorsements or public image, West embraced them. He believed silence was also a statement, and not one he was willing to make. In locker rooms across the league, he challenged teammates to think bigger, care deeper, and invest in something beyond fame. Today, David West lives with the same humility that defined his playing years. No excess, no ego, no performative displays of wealth. Instead, he devotes his time to family, mentorship, and developing meaningful social impact ventures. For West, legacy isn't measured in trophies or career earnings. It's found in the people he empowers, the injustices he confronts, and the unwavering principles he refuses to compromise. Tim Duncan's life is a masterclass in how greatness and humility can exist not just side by side, but hand in hand. Over 19 extraordinary seasons with the San Antonio Spurs, he quietly earned more than $240 million in salary and accumulated a net worth estimated between $100 and $150 million. And yet, in a league overflowing with flash, noise, and ego, Duncan lived like a man untouched by the temptation of fame. While other stars demanded max contracts, Duncan routinely accepted pay cuts so the team could remain championship-ready. And instead of arriving at practice in flashy Lamborghinis or custom Bentleys, he often showed up in a slightly worn Porsche that looked more like a hobby project than a status symbol. To fans who spotted him browsing aisles at Costco, the big fundamental wasn't just a nickname, it was a lifestyle. Despite his global fame, Duncan moved through the NBA spotlight with the serenity of a monk. He never sought fashion moments, viral endorsements, or red carpet attention. When he appeared in local commercials for a Texas grocery chain, it wasn't for branding or fame, it was simply Tim being Tim, staying connected to the community that embraced him. The more success he achieved, the quieter his life became. His humility traces back to St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands, where he grew up in a modest home with 3 siblings. His father worked as a mason, his mother as a midwife. Before basketball, Duncan's dream was to become an Olympic swimmer. But when Hurricane Hugo destroyed the island's only Olympic-sized pool in 1989, that dream collapsed overnight. And when his mother passed away from breast cancer the day before his 14th birthday, her final request forever shaped his character: get an education before anything else. Duncan honored that promise, earning a psychology degree from Wake Forest before stepping into NBA history. Would you remain humble if your talent placed you among the greatest to ever play? Even as fame followed him everywhere, Duncan refused to let wealth reshape his identity. He dressed plainly, avoided unnecessary luxury, and treated every dollar as something to manage responsibly, not flaunt. When financial advisors mishandled millions of his money, he didn't explode publicly or chase flashy spending. Instead, he tightened control, moved forward, and continued living modestly. His response showed discipline, not bitterness. Today, in retirement, Duncan lives with the same simplicity. He spends his days restoring classic cars, guiding young players, and volunteering around San Antonio. His foundation supports youth programs in the Virgin Islands, and many of his charitable acts only become public because the recipients share their gratitude. To Duncan, success has never been defined by extravagance or headlines. It has always been about quiet consistency, integrity, and steady impact. No chains, no drama, no need to prove anything. Tim Duncan reminds the world that true wealth isn't displayed, it's lived, and the richest life is one filled with calm, purpose, and peace. Derrick Rose's story remains one of the most emotional and inspiring journeys in modern sports, the tale of a Chicago kid who climbed out of one of the toughest neighborhoods in America to become the youngest MVP the NBA has ever seen. Over the course of a career that has earned him more than $166 million in salary alone, Rose could have easily embraced the extravagant lifestyle that often comes with global stardom. But instead, he stayed rooted in the same humility, grit, and quiet strength that carried him through Inglewood's concrete hardships. Even at his peak, when the entire city of Chicago crowned him their savior and Adidas handed him a lifetime deal, Rose chose to keep his world small, private, and centered around the people he loved. Fame never changed his values. The spotlight never lured him into noise. For Derrick, home, family, and peace were always more valuable than attention. Growing up in Chicago's Inglewood neighborhood, Rose learned resilience before he learned luxury. Raised by his mother Brenda, he navigated an environment where danger was constant and opportunities were fragile. Basketball wasn't entertainment, it was survival, a path forward, the one thing that promised a different future. When he entered the NBA, he carried that survival mentality into the locker room. Even as sudden wealth and global recognition flooded in, Rose avoided the flashy persona that so many expected from a rising superstar. You didn't see him showing off designer chains, flaunting sports cars, or competing with teammates for style dominance. Instead, he quietly funneled his success toward securing stability for his family and building a future far removed from the instability he grew up in. But the greatest battle of his life didn't come from the streets, it came from his own body. After his electrifying MVP season in 2011, a series of devastating injuries shattered the ascent that once seemed unstoppable. Many assumed his spirit would break, but Rose found strength in stillness, in silence. In the simple act of showing up every day to do the work, he avoided media chaos during his recovery, choosing instead to train away from cameras, letting his dedication, not his words, speak for him. Even when he returned to prominence with the Knicks and Timberwolves, he rejected the theatrics of a comeback narrative. His most unforgettable moment came in 2018, when he scored a career-high 50 points against the Utah Jazz, a night of raw emotion that left him in tears. Yet the celebration that followed wasn't in a nightclub or surrounded by flashing lights. It was with friends and family, quietly, exactly the way Derrick Rose has always lived. Off the court, his impact continues in ways that rarely make headlines. Rose supports youth programs in Chicago, funds community initiatives, and donates privately to meaningful causes, often refusing public credit because he believes generosity doesn't need an audience. Even now, fans spot him around Chicago blending in effortlessly, laughing with locals, running errands, being a devoted father who places his children far above fame. He had every reason to chase luxury, but he chose peace. From Inglewood's cracked pavement to roaring NBA arenas and back home again, Rose never forgot who he is or where he comes from. He proves that some stars shine brightest in silence, and that quiet greatness often lasts the longest. Stephen Curry is widely regarded as one of the most influential athletes of his generation, a player whose shooting revolutionized basketball and whose leadership reshaped how modern stars think about legacy and wealth. With a net worth estimated between $220, $240 million, and an annual salary exceeding $59.6 million before endorsements, Curry stands among the highest-earning athletes in the world. Add his long-term partnership with Under Armour, and his financial empire becomes even more impressive. Yet, despite having the income and resources to indulge in the most extravagant lifestyle imaginable, Curry chooses something remarkably different. In a culture where many athletes flash sports cars, sip champagne on private jets, and flaunt every luxury on social media, Curry has quietly embraced a life rooted in simplicity, purpose, and family. Even though he lives in the wealthiest zip code in the United States, Atherton, California, inside a stunning $31 million mansion, Curry's day-to-day routine couldn't be more grounded. It's not unusual to see him biking through the neighborhood, enjoying modest outings with his family, or participating in community events without the entourage you'd expect from a global superstar. For Curry, balance isn't just a buzzword, it's his lifestyle. He openly describes himself as frugal, not because he avoids enjoying his success, but because he finds real joy in ordinary moments with his wife Aisha and their children. While he appreciates comfort, he has never chased excessive luxuries or tried to outsource his identity to material wealth. Instead, Curry pours his resources into something far more meaningful, long-lasting impact. Through their Eat, Learn, Play foundation, he and Aisha have committed more than $50 million to educational and nutritional programs in Oakland. They've funded literacy initiatives, created safe play spaces, and provided millions of meals to underserved communities. For Curry, philanthropy isn't performative, it's personal. It reflects a belief that wealth should improve lives, not just lifestyles. His disciplined approach extends to business. Rather than splurging on designer toys or unnecessary extravagance, Curry invests strategically in tech startups, media ventures, and consumer brands with long-term potential. His partnership with Under Armour is a prime example of how modern athletes can expand their influence beyond the court. Curry brand, now a powerhouse athletic line, generates hundreds of millions annually and serves as a blueprint for athlete entrepreneurship. Yet, despite his expanding business empire, Curry remains refreshingly normal in how he lives. His mansion, though undeniably luxurious, functions more as a family sanctuary than a status symbol. He and Aisha frequently host relatives, cook homemade meals, and create warm, down-to-earth moments that stand in stark contrast to the glossy, high-profile lifestyles often associated with celebrity power couples. His priorities have never drifted: family, faith, purpose, growth. These pillars shape everything he does. Stephen Curry will forever be remembered for his unmatched shooting, his championships, and the seismic impact he had on basketball. But what truly sets him apart is the way he approaches life, with intentional simplicity, quiet generosity, and a grounded spirit that refuses to be swept away by fame. In a world obsessed with applause, Curry's greatest achievement may be choosing to stay human. And that wraps up our look at 12 NBA superstars who prove you don't need luxury to live like a champion. Even with fortunes that could buy anything, they remind us that greatness isn't measured in cars, mansions, or designer brands, but in humility, discipline, and staying grounded when the world expects extravagance. Now we want to hear from you. Should money change the way a champion lives, or does true success come from staying true to yourself? Share your thoughts in the comments. If this story inspired you, hit that like button, subscribe to Gazeon, and turn on notifications. More powerful stories about sports, life, and legacy are coming your way. Stay tuned.